totally forgot, to be honest.
I know. The second I know, yeah, and the second I start talking politics, it's like, oh yeah.
Yeah, right.
Let's do it.
Okay, so you were saying?
Yeah, so I was saying, our friend shared an article on Facebook, and she was asking everybody like what people's thoughts on Kamala Harris are. I hope I pronounced her name right, because they're speculating that she'll probably be Biden's VP pick. And frankly, okay, honestly, I'm really sick of the speculation. I realize it's good for, those writers because they have nothing else to, they maybe don't have anything else to write about right this second, and it would generate press and revenue just to speculate on.
Right, because there's nothing else going on in the world.
Right, I know, but it just frustrates me. It's like, why are you, like, that's just like, and honestly, at this point, I realize that that's all part of the game, is like influencing people's opinions by writing about people like that. And it's just like, wait, no, and I realized if they actually waited until, if they actually waited to report the news rather than trying to influence it, they wouldn't have the power that they do. And that's just it's making me just angry, even angrier, that too much of the press is trying to influence how people think rather than simply reporting and letting us make up our own damn minds.
Yeah, then they'd have to actually report on things, important things that are actually happening instead of making their gossip sound like it's important.
Yeah.
Or basically like sitting around gossiping and speculating about what's going to happen instead of reporting on
TMZ for politics.
Yep.
What's that?
It's like TMZ for politics.
Yeah.
Because
Very much so.
She may end up being his VP pick, but she may not. And with now it's kind of just like, stoking fire and getting people talking again and lathering people up into like an emotional frenzy about like people's feelings about her, because she's, very polarizing at this point. So,
yeah.
Yeah. So I personally feel like, it's just more smoke and mirrors, and I just want to wait and see who he picks.
Yeah, honestly, sometimes I kind of glaze over when these conversations come up, because it's like we've already gone over this ad nauseum about the pros and cons of Kamala Harris, and then people bring it back up as if it's new news, and it's not, and it's like
since yesterday or the day before or the day before.
Yeah, exactly, and it's like people are arguing about it like it's something new all over again, and it's like, no, it's the same thing that it was before. I mean, she's either going to adapt to a new situation where people demand her to be more progressive, or it's going to be a mix of pretending to be and really not, or mistrust and change, and it is like what it is, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I mean, we'll see what happens. That's all we really can do.
Yeah.
exactly.
Maybe someone who's more willing to be out in the spotlight than Biden is, who's kind of like once every couple of months he rears his head and says something about what's happening.
Yes. I think that his team is doing a good job by not letting him out too much.
Oh, you think that's by design?
I do.
Because they don't want him to put his foot in his mouth.
Yep.
That's got to be very difficult. Yeah.
Yes, it is very difficult for him, because I don't think he's a bad person. He doesn't strike. I don't look at him like the vibes I get off him. I don't think he's a nasty person. I don't, but it's just well known that he's not the best communicator. And every time, and especially when he gets upset, he'll literally just say something to the effect of like, well, then go vote for the other guy / don't vote for me. Like, it's really bad.
Yeah.
Like
I thought about
Charlemagne the God.
Yeah, well, not just that, but when he was speaking to...
Oh, look who decided to show up.
Yeah. When he was, there's his win thing. There's this
Yeah, I'm not
sound.
participating. No, I'm gonna keep it on. I'm gonna put y'all on mute and maybe listen for a while until.
You mean you're gonna put yourself on mute?
Yeah.
I see.
Yes.
Like when he's talking about the soldier, when he's talking to the soldier, and he gets like really upset, and the guy's trying to challenge him and ask him a question about, Obama era policies and stuff like that, and he's like, I think he actually says like "fuck you" to the guy or "fuck off" or like something.
Yep.
Something explicit.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's like,
And I hadn't heard a Veep lose their cool that much since Cheney.
right. Yeah.
Which wasn't that long before.
Nope.
Right.
Though we at really, yeah. Although, then again, Cheney shot a guy in the woods, and the guy he shot ended up apologizing to him. So I'm terrified of the dude.
Yeah, that's a pretty high level gangster
Yeah.
who can make someone
And
apologize.
Yet we thought that was the worst the worst mafioso tricks we were ever gonna see anywhere near the White House. Ha!
Well, I mean, I never go that far. You're gearing yourself up for disappointment if you think one thing's going to be the worst or something like that. I mean, one thing.
No, there's always
I mean,
gonna be worse.
Cheney is the only vice president that we've ever had that has his own privatized military.
Is that right?
That's
true?
Blackwater.
a good point.
Oh yeah.
They've got a much smoother name now.
Yeah, it's cooler
Their
than
name is
Blackwater.
like, yeah. I mean, Blackwater sounds great, and it sounds like a cologne or something that I would wear. But now their name just sounds like some very patriotic, like non-threatening kind of name.
Maybe it's not true that he's the only vice president, but he certainly had. I mean, in the era of privatized militaries and us contracting work out to, third-party groups, he definitely capitalized off of it. He was,
For real.
those wars were quite beneficial to him.
Yeah, and it wasn't even like he was far removed at all, right? It wasn't like he placed himself a few degrees away from it. He was just like right there.
Was
Right
he
back
wanted
to it.
those wars to line his own pockets, quite frankly?
Yeah, definitely. Just he was involved just more directly than most would be. No shell companies, no, nothing.
Yeah, there were.
It's just
No
right
shady
there.
business. It was all out there.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Right back to it as soon as he left office. Made a ton of money.
Yep, still does.
Yep.
Because essentially they're mercs for
Yeah.
hire.
You remember there was an interview that he had, a famous interview where the interviewer asked him, so when all is said and done, you guys were swearing up and down that Iraq, had these weapons of mass destruction and there was nothing there. You brought us to war under false pretenses. What do you say to the American public now? And he just said, so.
So,
Wait, who said
Yeah.
this? Who just said so?
Dick Cheney.
Dick Cheney.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, okay. It was at that moment I realized, okay, like some people just don't. He
Yeah, but
doesn't
are we-
have to.
But should we really have expected some sort of accountability out of the vice president?
Not accountability, subterfuge, or prettying
Okay.
it up. I mean, the kind
Okay.
of thing that Bush would have done. He would have at least said, here's what they always do. They just defer back to, what's his name? Saddam, right? They always deflect. Saddam Hussein, they just always deflect. Well, Saddam was still a very bad man. We had to get him out of there. Okay, you're not answering the question.
I was going to say that the bad people thing that they always follow.
Yeah, you're not answering the question at all. it's
They
kind of
use
like
the
when you're.
same bad people trope like domestically too when it comes to things like the crime bill and things like that. They're like, well, the bad people.
It works. I mean, they're
Super
dumbing
predators.
down their messages. They're dumbing down their messages, and it works. There's no like apology or anything like that. It's like,
I mean, it's easy to get a certain group or class of people to relate to things like, and it's something that always bothers me as a former military member. It's easy to get a group of people to relate to this whole concept of our freedoms are on the line. We're over there fighting for our freedoms. And it's like, I can't recall a time since I've been alive when we've been to war for the freedom of American people.
Yeah.
With another country.
Yeah. I mean, that's how they do it, right? I mean, it wasn't our freedom on the line when we fought the communists. Isn't that why we fought them? We fought them over there so we wouldn't have to fight them over here.
Oh, you mean you're talking Korea?
I'm talking I'm just talking the rhetoric. Well, yeah, I was really referring to Vietnam, but yeah, I'm just talking about the rhetoric that they use.
Oh yeah.
To confuse people or to make people, believe in the wars.
To motivate people to support a thing or another.
Or to motivate people to just keep their mouths shut about it and let them do it.
They're bad people, and our freedoms are being. I say that all the time to people who, like the 99.9% of people who didn't serve in the armed forces, and that's not a knock on them. They're always like, our freedoms. They're over there fighting for our freedoms, and I'm like, huh? What does Afghanistan have to do with our freedoms? We have 85% of the world's populace, and heroin is still as prevalent as it has been since before we went to Afghanistan. We talking about.
That's our freedom to get high, right?
So we should blame foreign policy for the opioid epidemic, basically.
I mean, crime is profitable.
Crime is always profitable to the people it profits.
Yeah, but I mean, a lot of people profit legally, right?
Well,
hospitals and lawyers and legislators and like a lot of people profit. They get legal dollars out of crime.
Well, and the problem is too that a lot of these people, quote unquote, getting legal dollars out of crime, they're the same people who make the decision as to what crime is. So they get away with it while other people are doing much crappier things.
Sam, how are you, by the way?
Ish, hey buddy. I'm hanging in there. I'm okay. How are you?
I am. No complaints. Yes. So is that a parrot, parakeet, cockatiel? What are we working with here?
Yes, that is she is an eclectus parrot.
Okay.
Yes.
I love the colors, man.
Thank you.
Love those colors.
Thank you.
Those are, I don't think I've ever seen one so like uniquely colored. And I bet you're gonna tell me like they're common colored.
Cynthia, where are your black?
No, actually, hey Cynthia. No, actually, well, no. I mean, I'm not. This is this is a very unique. They're a unique parrot. I mean, I think it's not like they're all that rare. They're not very rare, but they are. In fact, as far as I know, they are the only parrot where the boys and the girls have different colors, are colored differently. So the boy version of this type of parrot, like their body is like all like lime green color, and they have like an orange beak.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thus Scarlet is a girl.
Yeah.
She's pretty.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Oh, and Emily, I just want to give Emily a quick shout out because I want her to know, I don't know if she saw earlier, but Scarlett is literally sitting on me. And earlier when I tried to move my hand like this, she was making motions that she might bite me. So I just wanted to let
What, you're saying you wanted to let me know that I'm not the only person.
Correct. I mean, I think you already know that poor Emily has been bitten by Scarlet twice, and she still loves her. So Emily's a good person. And she's a very forgiving person. But see, look at this. Look at this. Look at her mouth.
Scarlet doesn't like the other woman.
Yes. Look at her mouth. Look at this. Look at this. This is insane. She's sitting on me, and she's getting defensive.
Let her bite.
Hi, Cynthia. You would say that.
You would say that until it's you. She bites.
Hey, Cynthia, how's it going?
Good. I don't have my headphones in, so I'm not going to be talking a lot, but I'll listen.
Oh, okay.
That's a nice change of pace.
Wait, but we can still hear you, though.
Yeah, we can hear you just fine.
Yeah.
I'm with Cynthia. I'll listen as well. I'm actually going back to mute.
I was going to say, like, you said 5 minutes ago that you would listen, and then we were just so exciting. You just had to talk.
Yeah, you were pretty exciting. But I have a good book as well, so trying to finish that as well.
What book?
It's called Monstrous. It's a graphic novel.
Oh, cool.
Well, trade paperback from a comic book series that I like to read.
Excellent.
You know what's really interesting is that my students, they loved, I mean, and I'm not surprised, but like my students, they loved reading like the graphic novel versions of books.
Mm-hmm.
But like, then it'll be funny because then like when the book doesn't have a graphic novel version, they're like, what? You mean you're actually going to expect us to read all words? This is like blasphemous. And,
I am now muted.
I'm like, well, yeah, but this is a school. You're supposed to read all words.
Levy, where are you? Are you in outer space? What's going on back there?
Yeah. I've gone from the Golden Gate Bridge to outer space.
I still haven't figured out how to change my backdrop on Zoom yet.
It doesn't
Really?
work on mine.
Yeah,
computer's not-
granted, I haven't bothered to look.
Oh,
But
are you using a computer, Sam?
yes, I am.
Oh, yeah, it's pretty easy. You just go to the right. You just go to the right of your stop video
Okay.
icon, and then you just look and it says choose virtual background.
Oh,
It's
So
not
I think-
available for everyone, though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not
and
available
I think-
for me.
got it.
And I think the thing is, you might have to have something. You might get the option of loading something in there, like one of your own pictures, if you have pictures on your laptop.
Got it. Okay, very cool. Thank you. That was awesome.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean,
Emily,
what's up?
I just chimed in to say I also appreciated your comment today about teachers and education dictating history. I thought
Well,
that was on point, by the way.
We're the ones that hold the cards as to what the kids are gonna, like the next generation is gonna know about.
Ooh.
And if we choose not to play the right cards, then danger.
Yeah. Will Robinson.
Danger, Will Robinson.
Well, I did very much appreciate it. It was on point.
Oh, thank you. So you had to go off mute just to say that you appreciated my comment about the education system.
Well, yeah, because I didn't like your comment.
Oh,
And sometimes
so you're saying-
I didn't not like it. I actually didn't like it as a reaction on Facebook because sometimes when I do stat updates and I'm being provocative, I purposefully don't like anyone's comment in the thread. So
Because you want the thread to go organically.
right. So I will not. Sometimes I won't even respond to people. Oftentimes I just will, even if it's something that I agree with, I just won't react to it one way or the other, and just kind of let people, have the discussions that they're going to have or not.
Duke it out.
Not necessarily duke it out, like have the discussions that they're going to have or not. You know what I mean? So that's
Without
why.
influence.
Yes.
Well, I mean,
So yeah.
I figured like you don't necessarily have to like check a box to like for me to know that you were on with that because I know your viewpoints like by now.
Well, yeah. I mean, but sometimes I can kind of be a jerk.
No, you a jerk.
Sometimes, the jerk comes out and it's there for the world to see.
It takes
There's
a
that.
lot to get me mad. Right, Sam? Right, Cynthia? It takes a lot to get me mad.
That's true.
Yes, it does take a lot. Yes, it does take a lot to get you mad.
See, my problem is like, I don't get mad very often, and like not that much bothers me. But as soon as somebody pisses me off, like I'm full on like, nope, fuck you. Don't need you anymore.
Mm.
I've seen you mad before, just not often.
Well, yes, of course you've seen
Hi.
me mad before. Just not often. I mean, I'm human. It's not like I never get mad.
Of course.
Do you get angry with your students? Do they see the wrath of Emily Grace?
Once in a blue moon. It's usually I'm pretty patient with them. Once in a blue moon, I just lose it on them.
So you're the cool teacher?
Yeah, you could probably say that. I'm a little bit more. Yes, that is the doorbell. Hang on a sec.
She-Hulk.
Well, no, I have a delivery coming.
I just saw She-Hulk.
Yeah, I just went ghost for a second.
That's a pretty cool avatar.
I think so. But it's kind of me. It's kind of like that's the way I am. Like you're not gonna piss me off, but then when I get pissed off, I will go off on you. It's like one of those things where it's like, don't worry about getting me angry. I'll let you know.
You.
Sam, how was your birthday?
Oh, my birthday was nice. Thank you. It was relaxing. Yeah, I just, it's weird now. I'm still uneasy about going places, but phase 2 just started today, so I guess now I have to start thinking about slowly returning to some semblance of what life used to be like pre-COVID, I guess, but with like more preparations now. So it's weird. I still haven't acclimated myself to that yet. But it was good. I mean, we walked around. I lay in the park with my family, and it's so nice. It's so nice to be able to lie on grass. It's like, oh my God, it's such a nice feeling. And
it's a nice feeling to leave the house, regardless.
Yep.
Frankly.
Yeah, well, I mean, I leave the house almost every day to like just go for a walk, but I mean, I don't go anywhere. I haven't gotten on the subway since March 16th, so I just stay in my neighborhood. Except for today. Except for yesterday, but that's because my dad stopped by and we drove out to my uncle's house in New Jersey for Father's Day get together. But we stayed in and just like we had a nice dinner, and I'm trying to remember I don't even remember what movie we watched, but Netflix brought in some killer movies at the beginning of this month, and I have Turner Classic Movies on right now. Turner Classic Movies has done really, really good things for me for the past 3 months. So,
yeah.
They're actually playing jazz on a summer's day right now. I have it on mute, but it's really good if you've never seen it.
Well, we've been saying that the Impractical Jokers were essential workers.
You've been doing what?
Misha and I have been saying that the Impractical Jokers are essential workers.
The practical jokers are essential workers. What
The impractical jokers are essential workers because they make us laugh and forget we can't go outside.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't have any problem, like, yeah, I mean, I don't mind. I can go outside. I'm not scared to go outside or go to, like, but the grocery, but I'm still just freaked out about the subway. Again, and I know that you've been on it recently and it's been really clean, which is great, but again, I think I'm suffering from a mild case of PTSD, and I just have to, like, you know, get over it.
Here's the thing, though, with the subway as well. Like, yes, I've been on the subway. However, I didn't get on the subway until, like, I was perfectly aware that I'd already had COVID.
Oh, my God. Look at you, you little guys. Sorry.
So, like, I was already aware that I was positive for antibodies against COVID. So, like...
Yep. I'll be right back. Excuse me. Oh.
What happened?
I moved funny this morning, and now my back has some sort of like muscle ache.
Oh.
Oh, the joys of aging.
Baby. This is middle age.
Don't worry, Cynthia. You still have a few more years to go.
Oh, I'm already feeling the aches and pains. I'm getting old.
I mean, I guess they start at 30.
At least you're eating healthy. That's good.
My back hurts. My shoulder hurts. I'm getting so fucking old. I hate it.
What do you like, exercising or something?
Yeah. But still.
Are you stretching?
Not as much as I should.
Yeah.
Definitely doing it more before the pandemic.
Yeah, the older you get, the more you have to stretch, especially if you're doing anything that's like intensive.
It's taxing.
Yeah.
Say hi to John, everyone.
Oh.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, John.
Al is so cute. What a cutie.
He is so cute. Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about these phases. Like, I'm kind of wary of them. I think, you know, people may get a little too excited and not practice as much care as they should.
Yeah.
100%. I already see people, like, especially in my neighborhood, like, loosening up on, like, what they should be doing. Like,
Yeah.
I'm wearing my mask to protect you, but what are you doing to protect me? I'm still susceptible. So whenever I see people walking around without any mask, I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Like, I don't have to wear this. I don't have COVID. But
Right.
what the fuck are you doing to protect me?
I mean,
It's so frustrating.
I tend to wear mine more than likely when I actually enter a store, but I also have asthma, so it's like restricting my breathing is not like the best thing to do.
Although, believe it or not, like I've had to go through testing like multiple types of masks to get one that I can actually wear for like semi-long periods of time because, like, same thing, because I have asthma. And I found that, like, when they're made of like this, like, stretchy material, that they work better for me.
Yeah, I've got a black one with a little nozzle on it that tends to work better for me than the cloth material ones as far as breathability.
But it's like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm terrified of having to like teach with a mask on all day in the fall.
Do you think they're gonna require that in the fall?
If we go back, I think they're gonna require people to, like, teachers and students to wear masks in school. And,
Jesus, that is crazy.
And here's the thing, is like, I don't know, it's a tough call because me personally, like, if I have by barely. By a small margin, I would still rather wear a mask all day to teach than continue with remote learning, because I'm so pissed off at the kids about the kids who really need the structure of being in the building, and how they kind of like ostensibly they were failed by distance learning. But so in that vein, I would rather like go back with a mask than continue remote learning if those are my only two options. But that still doesn't mean I'm going to be like comfortable.
Right.
Are they gonna hook you up to a mic so that like the kids can hear you? Because like trying to communicate with a mask on, like it's not that bad, but when you're trying to teach.
Well, that's the thing too. I feel like that, like whenever I feel like it's an exercise in testing my hearing. Whenever I see people, whenever I bump into people on the street who are wearing a mask, or like whenever, like with store clerks and stuff like that, I feel like it's such a test of my hearing, because like we both sound like.
Exactly.
Can you repeat that, please?
Yeah.
I'm just so concerned about like another wave coming, or this wave never ending, because like when they start with the phasing in and like opening stores and everything, everyone thinks like, oh, it's over. I can just, throw everything to the wind.
It's all about commerce. It's all about commerce. It's not like they're doing it because they think it's safe. They're like trying to weigh the pros and cons,
Although, in all fairness, I feel like that like New York has done it more safely than a lot of other states who are now experiencing problems. It's like the other states, they shut down when they didn't have a problem, and decided to reopen right when they started having a problem.
Well, all that can go out the window if we open back up too soon, or if there's a second wave. Did anyone read that account of like the 1920s Spanish flu, and like how they had these anti-mask societies and meetings and stuff, and how the second wave like decimated them to the
that was the second wave.
675,000 people in the U.S. died, and then how many millions across the world? Was it like 500 million? Died across the world?
No.
Was it
in the Spanish flu?
Yeah, was it 5 million?
It was like between 20 and 50 million.
Okay.
Yeah.
50 million.
That's a lot.
Yep.
That's a lot.
I have to say, just like you, like, I think I'd be willing to bet, Cynthia, what's worrisome to you in your neighborhood is like the people hanging out on the sidewalks, like hanging out on the block, like playing dice and stuff without masks on and stuff, and that happens up here by me too. But, well, and it probably happens by you too, Sam, because my brother said that was happening up in the Heights. But like, I feel like on a daily basis, like, I still feel like I see, when I go out, like I see more people with masks than without masks.
You're lucky.
And I mean, maybe I'm not going to the right places, but I feel like there's enough, like in my neighborhood, there's enough. Yeah, there are groups of people like just chilling on the sidewalk without masks, but like, I can usually always stay 6 feet away from people when they're not wearing masks, because the sidewalk isn't that crowded, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, my sidewalks are definitely crowded. It's hard to, unless I'm walking on the street, I wouldn't be able to get a 6 feet. Like, I don't mind, like, people breathing, I guess, around me. It's just if all of a sudden a sneeze came on and just sneezed on my face, First of all, it's just disgusting. And second of all, it's a risk.
Well, I'll tell you, back in early March, like, before anything...
I'm sorry, I'm laughing so hard. He said, I don't mind people breathing around.
So it's your right to laugh at her saying, I don't mind people breathing around me.
No, my bad. Can I Is that okay?
I'll allow it.
I'm laughing at you, Cynthia.
You may not breathe.
Everyone's got their own pet peeves, right?
Like, I don't mind people breathing around me, but sometimes I might.
Well, I'll tell you, I got like, this was in like early March before anything was closed down, and I was still commuting into work on the subway and everything. And this was like the beginning of allergy season. And I had a sneeze come on, like I was waiting on the subway platform. I had a sneeze come on like so fast that I couldn't even catch myself to like, sneeze into my arm to pull a little dab there. And this lady gave me like, because it was like at that point where like stuff wasn't closed, but people were starting to panic more about the virus. And so this lady gave me like the look of death, like I just gave her like the bubonic plague or something.
Yeah, you put that lady's life at risk, sneezing uncontrollably like that.
Sneezing uncontrollably.
It's an uncontrolled substance.
An uncontrolled substance.
Mm-hmm.
So we hired these guards at our building just to like, since it's phase 2 and like some of our tenants are returning, we hired these guards just for like crowd control and whatever. And like, there's this one guy, he's like supposedly a retired NYPD officer. Like the first step I got in the door, I'm like, dude, put your fucking mask on. I didn't say it like that exactly, but I'm like, put your mask on. We're requiring everyone to put their mask on when they come into the building. And like,
so
if we're gonna enforce it, we better be following the rules ourselves. We have to set the examples. And like,
well, you said he was ex-NYPD, right?
Supposedly.
Well, yeah. I mean, so he's on brand.
He's what?
He's on brand.
Yeah. I'm like, who the fuck is this guard? We need to get somebody else because if we're paying you to be here,
they're not
you're not following the rules. Come on, man.
They're not going to follow the rules that they enforce. This is the NYPD. What are you talking about?
That's like the number one rule. If you're going to like enforce a rule on everyone that comes in, then you better be following that rule. Like I was wearing my mask when I was in the public area, when I go to the bathroom and whatnot. Like, why is it so hard? It's really annoying. So yeah, a lot of people are not listening, and it's very frustrating.
I mean, part of me thinks that, like, I don't know. It's kind of like, I don't know what to make of it because, like, we see all these people who aren't listening, and we saw all these protests and whatever, but yet, like, the case count still doesn't seem like I would have expected there to be a spike after the protests that doesn't seem to have shown up as of yet.
I thought I saw some numbers that did show some spikes after the protest.
Yeah.
Maybe just not as. Maybe it just hasn't continued to go up. Oh, not in New York, you mean?
Not here. I've been speaking. I mean, New York specifically.
Oh, I see.
I think that's partially due to a function of the fact that New York has made it so easy to get tested that, like, a lot of people are finding out that they have it and staying the hell inside. But
also,
yes, I don't know how easy it is to really get tested. I mean, like, I was back.
Easier than other places.
You go to CityMD, it's free. How can it be any easier?
Well, how close are you to a city MD?
Aren't they everywhere?
No, they're sprinkled around the city, but they're certainly not everywhere. But for instance, like I had a bunch of doctor's appointments that I had to go to, and they were always like they were pretty much screening you.
We get another doctor.
They were pretty much screening you at the door. Like you're not here because you think you have coronavirus, do you? And you have to answer like 5 or 6 questions just to get into the door, and then you get to the desk, and then they start with the same questions again. So I mean, they were basically, it's a doctor's office or a specialist office, and they were trying to let you know that we're not dealing with any coronavirus stuff. That's going to be dealt with elsewhere. We're dealing with this. So I don't know. I could see that, you know, if you're going to your doctor's office and you think maybe you can get that checked out too, that would be kind of easy. But now you have to seek out certain places to go to. It's not that easy.
It is. I guarantee if you were to Google it, there would be plenty of places around you where you could get tested.
Well,
I've been to a bunch of places that specifically were not doing it, and I had to go to those places for my appointments. Mm-hmm. So for me, that would be going to like twice as many places. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's identifiably not as easy. I mean, maybe it's easy if you have nothing going on as far as having to go to the doctor's office and you're like,
wait,
fit as a fiddle, and not.
I'm confused, Mike. It sounds like you're saying because you had to go somewhere where they weren't testing, it's not easy. It makes it difficult for you to go somewhere else where they are testing. Maybe that's like not what you're saying, but that's what it kind of sounds like.
Well, I'm saying like then you're going to like twice as many places. Like you try going to a doctor's office where you have to sit there for 4 hours, like per time.
Doctors.
And then
Here we go with the doctors again.
So
Mike hates doctors.
So Ish, just like thinking critically for a second. If you're gonna sit somewhere for like 4 hours, and they're not going to like let you, you know, knock out like 2 birds with 1 stone, then you're going to like find some other place, and then you're going to have to deal with your insurance again and hope that they're going to take it. Like that stuff isn't easy to navigate. All I'm saying is it's not as easy as you think. It's not just
if you break it down to like the smallest element, right? If you wake up in the morning and you say, I'm going to go get tested, that's just what I'm going to do today. And you find a location and you go get tested, like that's simple, right?
If only it were that simple.
You act like you have a doctor's appointment every single day.
You're conflating your normal it seems like you're conflating your normal doctor's appointments with your ability to get tested.
Well, all I'm saying is that like this place that you go to for other medical issues, it seems like it would be, you know, reasonable that you could go there for that as well. All I'm saying is like trying to like find some other place that you're going to go to, and then you're going to hope your insurance is going to work there, and then you're going to hope your FSA card is going to work today. And then as far as like having doctor's appointments every day, I've had a shit ton of them, so I'm not going to like sit here and like defend how many doctor's appointments. Okay, I wasn't talking to you then.
You don't need insurance to get tested.
Well,
the testing is free, you're saying?
Yeah, 100%. For the antibodies and for the actual
that's good. I mean, that's definitely good.
But here's the point I was trying to make is that, yes, there are still some barriers, as you rightly pointed out, to getting tested, but fewer barriers exist here to getting tested than in other states, like just because of the sheer volume of tests that New York has the capacity to run as opposed to other states.
Well,
I know here for a long time they were still ruling out flu rather than actually COVID testing.
Oh yeah, no, but I mean like for the first couple of months, like yeah, they were like you have to be sick and dying to get a test.
No, I mean like in Buffalo, I know they rolled out in New York. It was easier to get them if you were in the city than you were here. Now you can get them here, but at first it was obviously going to be easier to get them in New York City.
I mean, even in the beginning, it was not easy to get tested in the city.
Because you had to actually be in the hospital with symptoms to get tested.
Yeah, exactly.
like I
But now
said,
it's
I'm
so easy.
pretty sure I had it, and I must have had it if I tested positive for antibodies, but I never tested positive for COVID itself because I was never sick enough to go to the emergency room.
And you're very lucky for that.
I mean, yes,
Mhm.
like I'm lucky to have like gotten it over with, essentially.
Yeah.
I guess
I mean, but
my point.
there were a lot of people who walked around with mild symptoms of
Mhm.
COVID and just didn't get like knocked off their feet.
Yeah.
Well, my
And that's
point
the
Yeah, I
was,
was still working the whole time that I was sick. Like it was no worse than like a sinus infection for me. I was still working remotely the whole time and never took a sick day.
Mhm.
the point that I was trying to make was like the number of people in the New York City protests. I wouldn't be like very confident that because these people live in New York City, chances are they got tested and they're okay. I mean, that's my point. Is like, my point is large gatherings are kind of a scary thing, and
Mhm.
certainly in other places we've seen spikes when people have had them. Whether
Now, here's the
it
thing,
was-
though, because go on.
whether it was people that went to see number 45 and his Orange Circus, or whether it was people that were like protesting masks or whatever it was.
Yep.
Large gatherings were always not a good thing.
Now, I agree with you, but I also think that, something that I've noticed, and I think is something that needs to be considered as well, each area, right? When we went on lockdown, each area became like its own self-contained area. So there's like a specific type of herd immunity that begins to develop in that area. And like when you see cases like spike in like Georgia, for instance, I know that a lot of people, as soon as they could, when Georgia opened, left New York to go to Georgia for vacation.
Oh no.
You know what I mean? People went to Florida for vacation. People just went to Oklahoma. So like you're talking about people coming from, each area when they do these lockdowns, right? The goal is to create a enclosed area of containment, however big that grid is, right? So
Right.
New York City's a grid, Buffalo's a grid, New York State eventually becomes a grid as we start traveling throughout the state. We develop a specific type of herd immunity.
Wow.
You know what I mean? But that doesn't mean when we decide to displace ourselves halfway across the country, we're not affecting people. Maybe Georgia could have opened up completely a little bit sooner, and everyone, you see some spikes or what have you, but everyone can deal with it because of the type of herd immunity they develop there. And then someone comes from New York.
Well,
someone comes
supposedly
from Ohio.
according to the science, that's not the way that the herd immunity works. Supposedly herd immunity, you have to sacrifice many people in order to achieve herd immunity.
People have to get sick.
Yeah, like a lot of people get sick and a lot of people die.
Or that all depends on, when you say a lot of people get sick or a lot of people die, that depends on the nature of the virus.
Right. Well, we're talking about the calculations for the coronavirus.
Here's
Right,
the
what
thing
would
but
happen-
the coronavirus doesn't kill everybody.
No, it
Here's
doesn't.
the thing too, though, is that they're saying that like based on the sample that they got of people who were antibody testing, that there were a lot more people walking around like me out there than we know about because
Right.
because they couldn't get tested. Like they're saying like that there's like 300,000 and change confirmed coronavirus cases, which is like 2% of the population in New York, but yet 20% tested positive for antibodies. So it's kind of like, it might be 10 times less lethal as we thought it was, because 9 out of 10 people are like not getting knocked off their feet ostensibly.
Right.
I mean, the one thing that could make it better is if we just stop testing people, The
Now
more
you
you
sound like
test,
some-
the more cases that you find.
That's very
We
true.
need to stop it.
Are you serious, Cynthia?
No!
I'm about to say, stop testing people.
This is such a fucking stupid argument. I can't believe people think that way.
I'm like, I'm sitting here like, wait a minute. She's almost like me, where you can't tell if I'm being sarcastic. I'm like, yo.
I should just stop paying rent. Then I don't have to owe rent. 'Cause that's just how it works. I mean, I don't know.
Oh, I should just stop. I should just stop going to work, but they should pay me anyway.
What kind of logic is that people actually fall for it? Oh my god. Ugh,
Yeah.
I should just stop feeding John, then he just won't be hungry. He won't die. He just won't be hungry.
He won't be hungry because he will die.
Or I could just stop. I could just stop eating. But nothing bad's gonna happen. I just won't be hungry.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Then that walks into the. That
at
would be
some
called
point-
intermittent fasting.
At some point within 30 to 40 days, you absolutely won't be hungry.
Because you be dead.
You
Exactly
won't
the
be
point.
anything.
Oh. I mean, I wonder how accurate the tests are that they recently pushed out. Because, I mean, it's not 100%. So I wonder if they're going to start improving on the tests that they have right now. And then hopefully we'll be able to get
Well, they're
these
already
tested.
better than the first group that they put out.
Oh, but do you know the accuracy of it? Did they say?
You know, I read
Roughly?
it somewhere and I don't remember what I read.
Okay. Because if it's like 50%, that's a very, very low percentage. But if it's like 80%, then I would feel a little better about my results. Hey, baby.
I mean, I did read it like that there obviously there is a such thing as false positives and false negatives, but I don't remember like the incidence of them because, well, my brain just doesn't hold that much anymore.
Is there higher inaccuracies for the what are you doing? For the COVID test or the antibodies, or are they pretty much the same?
I mean,
far as...
I've heard that the test itself, or the virus itself, is more accurate than the antibodies. But again, like,
Okay.
that's just one source. Like, realistically, like these days, the biggest problem with this entire COVID crisis is that the right hand has never known what the left hand is doing, and they pretty much never will.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, you know, one day it's like, oh, this is probably safe. The next day, oh, well, this is baffling. We would have expected things to go really badly, but they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know why. Oh, they didn't get sick? We don't know. Oh, 10 times as many people were sick as we knew about? Like, the right hand and the left hand, like, do not know what each other is doing, and, like, no thanks to 45.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just, like, such a disconnect, like, with disseminating information, too.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, like, it's really, I swear to God, like, you watch one news channel and they say that the whole thing is a hoax.
Mm-hmm.
Fox News, I'm looking at you.
I don't think that they're playing that narrative anymore, the fact that it's a hoax. They're probably spewing something else, but I think they've admitted that it's a thing.
I mean, I think they've admitted that it's a thing now, but their whole thing is that, like, they're like, people's lives be damned, economy must open.
Yeah. Which, if you're going to open up too early, like, the same thing's going to happen. So, like, why not just go a little longer to be more cautious?
Well, that's what I said when we were probably, like, in New York City, when we were probably some of the last people to start reopening in, like, the entire country. Like, my thinking was, okay, this is extremely unpleasant right now, but I'd rather be doing this now than have to, like, do it again later.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I'd rather do it once and not, like, every single year we have to quarantine for 3 months.
It's almost like we're using all of the lessons we learned in, like, kindergarten and when we were being taught as kids how to practice, like, patience and you know, how to go through a sickness and
Well, some people must have missed those days.
yeah, I mean, certainly. or
Like, I've
totally
never-
forgotten about them, or been sheltered too
Like,
much, or
I've never seen people so impatient as like the people who protested the lockdowns, basically being
well, it's
like,
all top down.
I want
I
to
mean,
get
they're
ahead. I want to get a
I-
haircut. We don't care about your grandma. We just want to get a haircut.
I mean, their motivation is 45. This is the person they're looking up to, you know. So it's like, it's hard to blame
I
people.
mean, that's true.
It's hard to blame people when you're, you know, when your commander in chief is that way. That's really hard to be responsible.
Our
Well, and-
biggest test will be July 4th. Let's see how people do. I guarantee you no one's going to be staying at home.
Well, I mean, we've been through Memorial Day, right? That's
That's true, but I feel like July 4th is more of like celebratory than Memorial Day, right?
I mean, I don't know. I don't have much love for.
I mean,
don't
I
have much
think-
love for the country right
I
now.
think hopefully the people that, you know, have figured out what's going on are going to continue, you know, distancing themselves, and then Florida will do what Florida's always going to do. So they'll continue to be a cesspool down there.
Well, here's what I say: if people want to go party and act like they're on the Jersey Shore, let Darwin have his way.
Yeah, until they come back to our communities.
Well,
and,
until they come here, but I
yeah,
think, fortunately, I get the sense that most of the people that live in my building are not exactly of the means to own to just run off to Florida on a vacation.
yeah.
Well, they can go to the beach in the city.
Well, yeah, but that's different because then they're not going to be exposed to all the sick people in Florida.
Mm-hmm. Do you know if the beaches will be open July 4th? Have they ever closed?
I don't know.
The
That's a
beaches
good
are
question.
open. You just can't swim.
Okay.
You're so cute. But people are just. I mean, it's interesting though because I feel like, you know, that the story in New York is so much different than what the story seems to be coming out of other states with the virus.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know if you know, people, and at first it's you know, I thought it was because people here are more compliant, but based on what you guys are saying, people aren't necessarily more compliant. So
I don't know if I'd say that.
well, it sounds like that there's a lot more people maybe than I was aware of that weren't really practicing social distancing anymore.
I mean, I certainly haven't heard of any New Yorkers wiling out in stores demanding to stay in the store without their mask on. You know, maybe
That's true. That's a good point.
maybe outside it's a little bit different, but once you enter that store, people seem to be complying, and there seems to be this mutual
And even
you know.
California can't say that. California has had, and I mean, California's cases are rising, but California has also had problems with people refusing to wear masks in stores. There was a viral video that went around a month or two ago, maybe, of some woman who tried to go into a grocery store, and she filmed the whole thing basically saying that she was reading from a script, saying I don't have to wear a mask because I have a medical condition that precludes me from wearing a mask, and I don't have to, she came in all defensive, and she's I don't have to disclose to you what my condition is, but just know that if you don't let me shop without a mask, you're going to get sued for violating the ADA. So the manager comes out, and the manager offers to
to shop for her.
To shop for her.
ADA?
Yeah, the lady was basically, she was basically
What is
lying.
ADA? What is that acronym?
Americans with
Americans with
Disabilities.
Disabilities Act.
Okay.
Basically, she was like lying and saying that she had a disability because she didn't want to wear a mask. And
She should be sued for lying. What the fuck?
she should. But this was a thing for a while. Like right-wingers were like, this was a thing for a while. Like 45's disciples were like passing this thing around. Like it was like a printable card that they could print out that said, I can't wear a mask due to a medical condition. If you dare ask me why, I could sue you, basically. And they were just anybody was printing these out just because they were
Card-carrying
loyal to wear a
disciples of
mask.
45. Just
Are
what we
you
need.
kidding
But
me?
do I have to permit you entrance?
Absolutely not.
Like
That's the
I don't
thing.
think that's discrimination. If you pull out a card that says you can't wear masks for whatever reason, well then you should probably get somebody to shop for you.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. When that, like, this viral video that I saw, like, the store manager came out and offered to do all of the shopping for her, and she went on basically on a shit fit about, like, you think I'm going to give you my personal credit card information and let you shop with my personal items? No, the only possible answer here is for you to let me in without a mask. And the store and the manager, thank God, he was like, well, I'm sorry you feel that way. Go complain to corporate. Here's my card. My name's Ben. Now, basically.
Yeah,
That's
like how
just
far are you
awesome
gonna take it?
manager.
Are you
Yeah, Ben-
really gonna call your lawyer because you couldn't get into Walmart or Target or you know what I mean?
And also, isn't that private property? They're allowed to
Yeah, it's
put in place
private
any
property.
rules
They're
that they
allowed
want.
to say. They're allowed to say you
Well,
can't come in without a mask.
that's a little iffy because people use private property rules to discriminate against people. So you know,
And they
if
get
I
away
wanna
with it,
say, well, it
Like
depends on what
they
it.
didn't sell those people from the LGBT community that wedding cake.
Well, yeah, and in that case, they use private property rules to say that, like,
And they got away with it.
Yeah, they didn't sell them the wedding cake. Which
They
based
didn't
upon
get
that,
sued. They didn't
I
get
mean-
sued or anything
they
else.
got publicly disgraced by a bunch of people. But nah, are you really going to get a lawyer? You're gonna go pay for a lawyer because some business wouldn't sell you a wedding cake and litigate? Most people just aren't.
yeah,
I
Well,
mean, aren't you allowed to like refuse service to whoever you want
Yeah, you kind of
as
can.
a private business?
Yeah. Now you
Don't
can't
fucking shop at
discriminate,
that place.
but like you can't like you can discriminate, right? It's like this legal way of discrimination. Like
Yeah.
I can't say I'm not providing you service because you're black.
Yeah.
But I can be like, you got a hoodie on.
That's just like
Or-
what employers do. Like, oh, you don't fit our culture. Like,
Yeah.
say what you mean. That's not what you mean. You're just trying to get away
well,
with
it's
it.
like, here's the problem.
It's just
It's-
everything.
private businesses can't discriminate based upon if you're a part of a protected class.
Well, being a dick is not a protected class.
But if they really don't want, that's the thing. Like, they can't discriminate. Like, you know, they can't discriminate against you for race or gender or whatever, or ethnicity or whatever other. Or
I don't think
disability.
disabilities are part of the protected class, are they?
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
here's the thing: if you make up a disability, I don't think there's any disability that would, like, not allow you to wear a mask.
I mean,
Well,
asthma, anxiety disorder, if it's really
Yeah, like
bad.
emphysema, I would say anxiety disorder for sure, asthma. I mean, there are some things, you know.
How
well,
would
see, even the thing
asthma-
with asthma, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it depends on the severity, or how
Yeah, because it's
long
not like you're just
you wear
walking
it.
around having asthma attacks.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that, and I mean, it doesn't have to be an attack. I mean, you can certainly be in a state where your general breathing is impaired. But I just
asthma
don't
just
know.
affects different people differently too, though. Some people just get tired, you know, they feel overly exerted. You know what I mean? So yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Well, yeah, you can have trouble breathing in general. It doesn't have to be. You don't have to wait for an attack. You can just have trouble breathing in general.
Well, yeah, and it's like, for me personally, like, my asthma has always manifested itself like in being like, you know, not in like, you know, massive like sudden attacks, but just like into like a period
gradual
of time
thing.
where I just can't breathe as well as other times.
Right. But getting back to the discrimination thing, I mean, I'm hearing different things. Some people are saying that even if it's a private business, you can't discriminate against a protected class, and other people are saying you can do whatever you want. It's a
Well, you
private
can,
business.
right? But you just can't say that's what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like you can discriminate against people, but you can't say that it's because of.
But for the
being
cake,
in a
they
protected
came
class.
out and said, for the cake, they came out and said why they were doing it.
But at
Right,
that
they didn't try
time,
to-
LGBT
Yep, they
wasn't
absolutely
a
came out and
protected
said why they
class.
were doing it. But what they did was there's that, and what they also did is they put their, so like it would have to be litigated, right? Because they put their own rights in contrast to the rights of the LGBT community, their religious right.
Yep.
You know what I mean? They like literally made an argument that to comply with their rights, our rights would be violated.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's interesting because we're basically in a country that was supposedly founded on separation of church and state, and it was founded on people that were being persecuted according to religion. So now they're going to circle back and says our religion allows us to discriminate against you. I mean, what an interesting argument.
Well, I mean, that was the girl's her name, I just can't think of it right now. That was her argument when she didn't, proffer marriage licenses to an LGBTQ couple.
I remember
Oh,
that.
the
Yeah.
lady in Kentucky.
Now that was a public office.
She went to jail for it.
Exactly.
Yeah, she went to jail for it.
Good for her.
That was civil
She
disobedience.
deserved it.
Yep.
Right.
Well, and it's a public office, so she couldn't deny to do her job, even if she didn't.
Right.
She had to separate her personal beliefs. But
Right,
it's
right.
different, like, you know, a private entity, like, say, for example, like a church. Is a private entity.
Yeah,
Like,
private businesses, they discriminate all the time. They just don't say that that's what they're doing. They find some loophole, right?
Yeah.
You smell bad, so we're gonna have to ask you to leave.
Oh, okay. If you find a loophole, then you're still admitting. That's still like admitting that there's a problem, right? Like why use a loophole if you're so big and bad because you're private? Why not just say fuck you? I don't like your kind. I'm a private business. You can't do anything about it. It sounds to me that there is
because popular opinion, right? Public sentiment. We got cancel culture is real, right? People start sharing this all over social media.
It hasn't always been. I mean, I'm just trying to get to the root of this thing because it seems like I don't know. It seems like it's not so cut and dry, and that people just
It isn't.
think that you can just do whatever you want to. Like,
stores
McDonald's
can actually refuse service for people who don't wear masks.
yeah, like, there's nothing saying that they can't do that legally.
Right, but that's not. That's based on the welfare of the public, right? We're not talking about someone who's discriminating because.
Yeah, but they can also refuse to serve you if you're not wearing a shirt, which, like,
Yeah.
doesn't hurt the public health. I mean, it depends on who's not wearing a shirt.
No service. Yeah.
Now, Mike, when you say that that's based on the welfare of the public, if we're breaking it all the way down in black and white, right? Once the governor says phase 1, you don't have to wear masks, which has happened in some areas, right? Stores are still saying no entry without mask, and they're refusing people service.
But if they're a private
Well,
store,
what are their
they're allowed
mayors?
to do
What are
that.
their mayors saying? Because some of the mayors are refuting the word of the governors.
That's what I'm getting at. So it's subject to interpretation. So what one person considers the health and welfare of others, now, while I think it's for the health and welfare of others, and I agree, I can't say you're wrong if you don't think it's the case, because at this point it's kind of subject to interpretation because the powers that be are saying conflicting things.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. I mean, listen, you live in a city, and your mayor hasn't lifted the, hasn't lifted the
lifted
decree.
any social distancing orders.
Yeah, hasn't lifted the laws yet. Then you can say, I'm obeying the laws of the mayor. The governor has issued some general decree that is to the discernment of each individual mayor of each individual city. I mean, if the mayor doesn't say anything, then sure, go with what the governor says. If the mayor says something, I know my city, I know our needs, I know our population density. I actually care about my city. It's a smaller municipality than the whole state is, so I'm actually caring, for my people. I mean, you can just defer to the mayor, right?
Oh no, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
That's not in dispute. No one's disputing that. What I'm saying is that there are instances where stores are saying you still need a mask in areas where you don't.
And
that's why that accounts for at least a percentage, not the majority, but just any percentage of people who are in protest over it. Not a majority, by far.
Well, I certainly didn't know that stores were taking it upon themselves to invent their own laws that circumvented laws imposed by mayors. I didn't know that was
because but those aren't laws imposed by mayors. Like, there's no legislation
or decrees or whatever
executive
temporary
orders.
Yeah, executive orders or whatever you call them.
But if you think about it, in New York, like, there were stores, I don't know about where you guys are at, but at least in my neighborhood, there were stores putting up signs that said no mask, no service, even before Cuomo or de Blasio required masks.
Yeah, same here.
And then I didn't have any of that in my hood.
Yeah, this same here. And there are stores here right now that are both ways. There are stores that don't require it and stores that do.
Really? Every store that I walk by, they require it.
Oh yeah, no, I could go to the corner store, which I'm going to go in a little bit, and I'm like the only person that walks in there with a mask and latex gloves on, because I'm not even trying to touch nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to touch the handle to the door, like none of that. Well, now the door's open because it's hot and it's summer, so they keep the door open. But yeah.
See, I mean, those corner stores, I mean, that corner store is just doing whatever they want to do or just not complying with anything. It's a hood store that's like, doing what they're going to do. I mean, you find that in a lot of places, like places.
I mean, but at the
prices and all that too.
At the basic minimum, right? Like Emily said, like you said, no shirts, no shirt, no shoes, no service isn't a law.
Yeah, like no governor ever said that, like, that you weren't allowed to serve people who weren't wearing a shirt or shoes. Like, most businesses
not
just
wearing
don't
a hoodie
see
on
it.
your head or a book bag isn't a law.
Mm-hmm.
But
Right.
During the school year, the average store requires you not to have a book bag on when you go into a store.
Or, like, for example,
Or a hoodie on.
We were saying it the other night, like, these same corner stores that are putting up signs now that say no mask, no service, like, before the coronavirus, were putting up signs that said, if you have a mask, like, get the fuck out, basically.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I was almost going to ask Ish if the store is looking at him funny, like, don't you see the sign? It says no mask.
Well,
No,
mask,
they don't
like,
have a sign that says no mask. They just
No,
don't.
I'm just
they're just
kidding.
not
I'm just-
enforcing
I'm
masks.
just- No, I'm just joking. I'm just saying that, like, if Ish is the only one at this store that's wearing a mask, they could almost look at him funny, like, you're not supposed to be in here.
The customers in the store look at me funny because I be in there masked and gloved. Like, listen.
See, I feel like here people look at you funny if you're not wearing a mask.
Yeah. See, that's good because I'm masked
At
up.
least in my neighborhood.
I need to protect. Listen, when this jumped off, my house was like a sanitation zone. Nothing came in the door that was not sanitized. Like nothing. No thing came inside of my house that did not get sanitized before it wasn't happening. It just wasn't happening. But, you know, I'm when it comes to like my wife and daughter, I'm super overprotective and kind of overbearing. So I just didn't want to. I didn't want to take any risks whatsoever. Like it was not.
Better safe than sorry.
Yep. So that's where I was at. Like I'm like, everybody wear latex gloves when you go out. Like, literally, when you get in the car, like, you know, make sure you keep disinfectant wipes in the car so you wipe everything down that you came in contact with. Like all of that. My wife was getting annoyed.
That's how our leaders should be behaving, as like better safe than sorry, you know. But they don't want to be looked upon as like having an ill effect on the economy. So, you know, I think they're ready to like get things back in business.
Well, let's not pretend that it doesn't have an ill effect on the economy. It does.
Yeah, I mean, nobody's saying that it doesn't, but I'd rather people be alive.
Yeah, but then
we'll get through the economy, but people will not come back from the dead.
Well, I mean, I would venture to say that, you know, there are people that are going to, you know, lives may be shortened as a result of, you know, some economic hardships.
Yeah, well, they should be taking that money from the corporations and redistributing it to people in need.
Well, I think the issue is that like this country just has a shitty safety net, so that we can't weather this kind of like. So you can't really tell people to stay home because they can't not go to work. Now, if there were programs in place for them to still, like, you know, pay their rent and do what they got to do and stay home, people would stay home.
I mean, if one thing that we learned globally, America just isn't prepared.
Right.
And historically, empire just collapses. Like no great empire has endured. And we kind of just learned, like, globally, like, we're really not what we think we are. Not what we're portrayed to be. Because we certainly just, like, it was bad. You know, we're America. Well, I mean, yeah, but I mean, like, we're supposedly this great country. And, you know, we're watching what's happening to the rest of the world. And then New York becomes the epicenter. Like the most important city in the world becomes the epicenter. After we watch what happened in Italy. After we watch what happened in China.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I think that this virus was circulating around for like 2 months before anybody even dared to like do something about it, at least in New York City, because like people were like in February, like in the month before we went remote from school, like when we were still in person, teachers were missing full weeks at a time. The security guard was out for a full week, like knocked on his ass sick. Like kids were coming in with masks already. Kids were coughing all over shit. Like I think there was already
kids are just petri dishes anyway.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like basically, like people were getting sick more often than I had ever seen in all my years, like teaching. And at the time, we thought it was a bad flu season, and now I can't help but wonder.
Hey, y'all, I'm gonna peace out. It's been a scintillating conversation. There was stuff I wanted to talk more about. Didn't get the chance to though. But thank you all for having me in, and please keep me in mind for future discussions because I would love to chip in even more.
Will you be here next week, Sam? I'll only join when you join.
How often do you guys do this? I mean,
we're kind of, you know, we've kind of had discussions about doing it every day, if possible.
That's so much.
Not me.
Well, I'm happy to.
Not me, that's you.
Well, listen, I
may not even be me.
Hijack the conversation, but I would be happy to chime in as often as I can. So
okay.
Just keep sending out the Zoom links whenever you do it, and if I can pop on, I will. I would love to.
Woohoo!
Thank you. It was great
Yeah,
seeing
thanks for joining.
Bye, Sam.
All right.
you.
Bye.
This is a great transition to an article that I was just reading, not to change the subject.
What were you reading?
Tomato plants fertilized with human urine produce up to 4 times more fruit and had higher levels of beta-carotene and protein than traditional fertilizer.
So you're saying we should all just go pee on tomatoes?
Well, the ones that are still on the vine, not like the ones you buy from the store. While they're still growing, you should piss on them.
Interesting.
So that
I
is
wonder
that.
if 45 considers himself a tomato.
No, he's not a tomato. He's like a carrot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, when you add a little yellow to
Or like a squash.
red, you might get an orange.
It's like,
Well,
Is that what orange is? Yellow with red?
I believe so.
Yeah, I knew that. I didn't miss that day in art class.
Yeah.
I
Either
didn't
did
know
45.
Yeah, it might be the only class he didn't miss. Because he sure as hell missed science.
Very
so
true.
yeah.
So
I'm
Cynthia,
not-
what's your whole Sam here only when Sam is here kind of deal?
He dropped out. I feel bad.
Is that like a are you like a foil? Is one of you like a foil to the other one? Like you kind of like play off of each other's strengths and weaknesses, or?
Oh. Sam didn't even say anything today. I feel so bad.
Yeah, it's like that sometimes.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm also
Yes.
gonna
peace out?
dip out. Yep.
Okay.
All right.
Good night,
All
everyone.
right. You
Good night.
know where to find us.
Yep.
So I feel like we should definitely plan like a script reading thing again.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to? I mean, what do you want to do? I mean, honestly, the everyday thing, that was Joey's idea. He seemed to think it was like good.
He's not even on here.
Yeah, he's not even.
Yeah, I know.
Can we just switch this back to every Friday?
Yeah, no, that's good.
Every day, yeah.
No, every Friday's good because really what it is like me and Ish, we have our own thing going anyway. So
Yeah.
like if we keep this to every Friday, then Ish and I can still do things like whenever we want.
Yeah.
And then we can still have like subject things and we can.
Because I don't want to only talk about controversies every single day. It's depressing as hell. I want to do the script reading like last time. That was really fun.
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah, we should. I was saying that we could do the Friday script.
Yeah.
That's fun. Yeah.
What do you have in mind?
What, for the Friday script?
Yeah.
Well, you said it had to be smoky.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, just in general. I was just saying Ish could be smoky, and that was as far as I got with it.
Did you have a specific script in mind? Who's Smokey?
Smokey is a character in the movie Friday.
Oh, I've only seen that movie once.
Yeah, it's a classic. It's great.
Oh, baseball season is going to start in late July.
Oh yeah, but
Are you serious?
Yeah.
With actual audience, like an actual audience?
I think they're gonna play. I think they're gonna play without fans.
Oh, that's gonna be so boring. Part of what's fun is like the crowd cheering them on.
I wonder if they'll do like an artificial cheering section.
Like
a laugh track.
They might edit in the sound. See, I'm gonna miss hearing the bleacher creatures in the Yankee broadcasts.
Yeah. I wonder if they're gonna start up the other sports too in the same way.
Yeah,
So, like, I can't imagine what like football and basketball is gonna be like without an audience. That would just be so dull.
They are trying to do basketball without an audience and
Can
hockey.
you imagine playing basketball without anybody to cheer you on or boo you or just anything? That would be so boring.
Yeah.
At least for the players. I can't
The
imagine
players
it
would-
being a good day.
I feel like the players would start talking more shit to each other to like make up for the lack of people, you know?
Yeah. I wonder if they would see it like a pickup game and not take it as seriously as
Yeah.
like if there are
that's-
two opposing sides to like cheer.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like, it feels more like a pickup.
Yeah. It's gonna be interesting. And then football is just gonna be like practice to them.
Yeah.
It's gonna be very weird. Although in baseball I don't often hear people cheering, but I also don't go to games often.
No, they do, like you hear them less cheering on TV, I think,
Uh-huh.
but people are cheering at baseball games.
Oh, okay. I've only
Then
been
there's
to one.
golf. Then there's
Oh,
golf where you're
God.
not even really allowed to like clap or
Well,
make
there's no
noise.
spectators in golf.
Yeah, there are.
Yeah. You're
Well,
just not allowed to
They're
clap
just
or
not
like,
allowed to
make
make
noise.
noise.
Yeah.
So that will do. That will be fine without an audience.
Well, I think I'm gonna get going too. If you two want to keep talking, I could make one of you the host. But
I'm good. I have to go to work tomorrow, so.
okay, then I'll just end it up then.
All right.
Okay.
I'll see you
That
guys
was-
on Friday.
Okay,
Yeah.
see you on Friday.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye.